It's in between, and I asked about All-Star Superman before you guys get into your secret conversation that I wasn't privy to. And they were saying how the All-Star Superman is an homage to the Silver Age. And I'm asking if James Gunn's going to get into this silliness. And it makes me wonder, what's that star creature that was in...
Starro?
Oh, no,
It was in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit more outlandishly... The comic booky type thing instead of the gritty ones.
That's one of like the famous covers of Justice League is where you've got Starro and Flash and Batman and Martian Manhunter, I think, all fighting that. Yeah,
it would be interesting for him to take DC in that vein instead of being more serious like Marvel is. And I'm not saying that's not serious, but it's definitely much more of a cartoony.
Yeah, because All-Star Superman is, it's the Silver Age stuff where, red kryptonite makes Superman have a giant ant head or something.
That was not what I thought you were going to say.
And hey, we're going to give Lois Lane superpowers for 24 hours and stuff like that. So this is kind of what that is,
Okay.
You were talking about Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen had his own comic, and every now and then he's turning into a giant turtle or a giant porcupine or something like that.
Interesting. Okay, so what is the secret conversation that you both think you want to talk about?
It wasn't a secret conversation.
No, it's okay. I wasn't part of it. I'm not hurt or anything.
So have you done anything with Chat GPT yet?
With what?
The Chat AI where you talk to it and it can write stories or do poems or anything like that? So I was just curious. I asked it, had you heard of Minute of the Apes? And it goes, as an AI language model, I do not have personal experience, but I can tell you there is a podcast called Minute of the Apes, which is a podcast that examines a Planet of the Apes film franchise 1 minute at a time. The hosts of the podcast analyze each minute of the films in great detail, discussing the characters, the plot, the music, and the cinematography. They also provide behind-the-scene information and trivia about making of the films. The Minute of the Apes podcast is one of several podcasts that use a minute-by-minute format to analyze and discuss movies, TV shows, and other forms of media in great detail. This form has gained popularity in recent years with podcasts such as Star Wars Minute, Indiana Jones Minute, and The Lord of the Rings Minute, analyzing their respective film franchises 1 minute at a time.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, Richard owning a comic store has a level of knownness in the world in Dallas. I get some of that with being in a band, and I've had people recognize me out.
What's the name of your band?
The Dive Bar Boombox. Yeah. Let's gonna see what that dive bar is one word.
I'm gonna ask you, do you know of the,
so before you read that, and I'm not saying Sean doesn't own a store or play in a band, but do you ever have anyone go, I know you from the podcast? Is that
no.
I have friends that know I do it, and they're like, and people listen to it. And I said, weirdly, we don't register on there.
Well, no, it says as an AI language model, I have information about a wide range of topics, including music and bands, but I do not know everything. To answer your question, I do not have any specific information about the band, the Dive Bar Boombox. However, I can conduct a quick online search for you to see if there's any relevant information available. Please.
And that goes into with a complete side note. I'm not going to pay. You've got Chris making your website, so I'm sure that it is really well indexed for Google. We use Wix, and I just don't have time to do anything. And I constantly, it was one of the worst things in the world, almost daily. Hi, I'm Richard. I look at Wix sites. You're a great band, but your site is indexed improperly. I'm like, and fuck off. I'm not going to pay you for it. I don't care. That website's more for...
I get a lot
giving it to people to book gigs.
I get a lot of emails from people wanting to increase our Google search results and things. Yeah. Almost every other day, somebody's like trying to. But they're all like
Dive Bar, one word, Boombox. Okay, but there might be another band out there with that name because it appears that Dive Bar Boombox is a band based in Austin, Texas, USA. They describe their music as dirty soul and swamp funk and are known for their high energy live performance. The band members are Michael J. Cargill. Vocals, Kyle Clayton Hawley, guitar, Thomas Joseph, bass, and
that is
Ian
so weird
Salazar,
that anybody
drums.
would come up with that name because that was like literally me rambling off the top of my head.
According to their official website, the Dive Bar Boombox has released several albums, including Demonstration and Lost and Found.
Now I got to find out who the fuck they are.
No doubt. They also have shared the stage with many notable acts such as George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic, Fishbone, and Galactic. If you are interested in learning more about the Dive Bar Boombox, you can visit their official site or check out their social media pages.
You'll see if they got tickets available when the next concert is.
Yeah. Well, but here's what's weird. So if I put into Google Dive Bar Boombox, I don't get any of that. In fact, when I put it in, and this may also be my algorithm because I've searched it, we come up.
Why don't you Google one of the performers' names and the band name? Or Dive Bob.
We are so down the rabbit hole of looking at.
Here we go, Richard. I just asked, do you know the comic store Zeus Comics in Dallas, Texas? It says, I'm aware of Zeus Comics, which is a comic book store located in Dallas, Texas, USA. It's a popular destination for comic book enthusiasts and is known for its extensive selection of comics, graphic novels, collectibles, and other related merchandise. Their store has been in business since 2000 and has won multiple awards, including the prestigious Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailer Award in 2011. Zeus Comics also hosts various events and signings with comic book creators and artists, making it a hub for local comic book community.
Yay, that's nice. Hey.
See, now I'm going to have to go find how to get this on.
That's great.
Because, I mean, I'm even looking at
You're
this.
like, I want to be on ChatGPT. No, just kidding.
I don't really give a shit, but I'm like, okay, why are they showing it? Because when I search Google for us, in fact, this even goes to that a guy shot he shoots like live bands and he shot our stuff for us. And I mean, we're even there through Google. So it's like, why the fuck would they come up? And if I even put Dive Bar Boom Box Austin, I don't get any return for a band in Austin.
Well, hang on.
The Dive Bar Boombox Singer.
I put Dive Bar Boombox Austin, Texas, and one of the first things is DBBX.
That's me.
That's my
you?
site.
Okay.
That's my site.
Allen, Texas. Yeah.
That's weird.
You have YouTube?
We do.
Yeah.
In fact, I see that I saw it on there a minute ago. And if you like images for the Dive Bar Boombox, now here's one that shows up, and I don't know who that is.
So while we're doing this, do y'all have anything you'd like to ask ChatGPT?
Nope. Look at that shit. It's like top bands to hire, Americana bands in Dallas, Fort Worth. And there's Dive Bar Boombox. That's my band. That's me on stage. Son of a bitch, I'm going to sue those. I'm kidding. There is nothing worse than being in bands and you get this. I'm sorry, you're going to have to cease and desist using the name. Why? Well, we're going to sue you. I'm like, okay, bring the lawsuit. Because unless you're signed and an entity begins to purchase that, they can't. It happens all the time.
Oh, yeah. There are only so many words and letters and combinations of things that you can do.
It's why copyrights and those kind of things are actually very hard to do with a name. You have to be able to 100% verify I am the one now making money on that. So fuck you.
I asked GPT.
What did you register your name in Texas?
Dive Bar?
Dive Bar Boombox?
Yeah.
I asked it to make a joke about a bad band and said, why did the bad band cross the road? To get to the record studio on the other side where they can make even more terrible music.
That's the best it could get.
That's all right. That's decent. Something your dad would tell you in the car on a car trip.
Well, that's all interesting. I've never messed with that at all.
I mean, it's fairly recent, right?
And
this the ChatGPT is the Microsoft product, right?
I don't know who.
It's chat what?
GPT.
Yeah.
GPT.
Just go to chat.openai.com.
I think who's Microsoft?
As we all type, that is such great podcasting.
And then to use it, you'll have to log in. I just use my Google stuff to log in.
Oh, Microsoft, sorry, it's called Chatbot.
I just asked it about what is All-Star Superman. All-Star Superman is a comic series published by DC Comics. It was written by Grant Morrison and illustrated by Frank Quitely. It consists of 12 issues and was originally published between 2005 and 2008. It follows iconic superhero Superman as he becomes exposed to an overwhelming amount of solar radiation, which enhances his powers but also leads to his impending death. The series explores Superman's effort to complete his life's work and to pass on his legacy before he dies. The comic series is known for its unique storytelling art style and its portrayal of Superman as a more human and vulnerable character. All-Star Superman has been critically acclaimed and is considered one of the best Superman stories ever published. It's been adapted in an animated movie of the same name.
Yeah, I was right. ChatGPT is Microsoft. It's being powered by Bing.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it basically... It writes something about whatever you ask it to. Is that its shtick? Because it just seems like a search engine.
You can give it parameters. I can say, give me...
It's supposed to be... It doesn't just give you links. It's actually supposed to give
I'm going to say, give me a 500-word... No, I'm going to say just 100. 100-word essay on why Ewoks suck.
You can actually tell it how many words you want.
Yep. And so... It's spitting it out now. Do-do-do. As an AI language model, I do not hold opinions, but I can provide some reasons why people might not like Ewoks from the Star Wars franchise. Ewoks are small furry creatures from the Forest, Moon, and Endor in the Star Wars universe. While some fans love them for their cute appearance and playful antics, others find them annoying and unnecessary to the story. Some people argue that Ewoks were introduced as a primary marketing ploy to appeal to children, and they undermine the seriousness of the final battle and Return of the Jedi. Additionally, some find the idea of primitive teddy bears defeating a highly trained army of stormtroopers to be unrealistic and a bit ridiculous. Ultimately, whether or not one likes Ewoks is a matter of personal preference. So yeah, and you can say, I could just say, give me. I'm trying to type with two fingers.
So what's the need for this? Well, I know somebody just wants to make it. That I get that, but
well, I mean, if you can outsource, if I can say write a 500-word article about nuclear physics that a 5-year-old can understand.
True.
And I don't have to write it, and then I can go back and review it and make sure that it's actually accurate. And so I've just saved myself how much time? Times 100. Yeah.
Hey, and I may be wrong in 5 years, but it seems like one of those kind of things that may amalgam itself into, like when I ask Google on my systems at home, that it becomes that.
Right. It's supposed to be a smarter way of searching than necessarily having just links.
Yeah. And I like that.
It's supposed to be able to give you more data, more information, kind of aggregate things and learn as it goes along. I mean, it is the next step into having actual AI. They're just using it for a search.
Like feature. I just give me a riddle about nuclear physics and bears. Here's a riddle.
But again, and I'm not saying this will ever go away from you searching. I'm trying to find the practical application, and there's a whole thing.
Well, you could use it for like story prompt things. Like, give me a story idea about XYZ, and it can do that. And you go, I don't like that. How about that idea plus add this person into it? Or
yeah, you're right. There are values to. I don't know that I'm going to use it a ton, but I do like that idea because the company I work for, and I'm not going to say this because I don't want to divulge anything. We're private now. We're no longer publicly traded, but it's almost like we're kind of seeing with the web dialing back some of the social media aspects because it's beginning to wane. You see, people like Facebook having a hard time with revenue, right? Dialing the internet back to where it was just simply sharing information. That might be further proof of that, where it becomes simply, tell me how to do this, and it just comes back to you instead of being opinion and nasty and whatnot. So I mean, it's interesting in that.
Well, there was also what did ChatGPT say about Biden and Trump? There was something that's now there's a concern from our right pundits being upset about AI
not
having too much of a liberal bias.
Yeah, I just said, hey, give me a story prompt about a man becoming a black hole. John, a brilliant astrophysicist, has been working on a top-secret project for years. His goal is to create a miniature black hole in a controlled environment to study its properties. However, during one of his experiments, something goes wrong, and John finds himself transforming into a black hole. As he grapples with his newfound powers, John struggles to keep his condition a secret while also trying to find a way to reverse the process. Meanwhile, he becomes to experience strange and terrifying side effects, including the ability to absorb anything in his path, including people and objects. John's transformation progresses. He must confront the ethical implications of his situation and decide how to use his powers for good. Will he be able to control his hunger and find a way to reverse the process, or will he succumb to the dark urges and become a force of destruction?
Okay.
Yeah, so
it's cool. Yeah, it is.
So. Yeah, that's conservatives criticize woke AI.
Because
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's not go down that rabbit hole because that whole use of that word at this point for anything that asks you to show more empathy and compassion.
All you have to do.
Didn't DeSantis say something about like extra woke or something? Did he use woke on woke?
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he used woke on woke at some point recently. It was hilarious. But of course, we've got the Dilbert dude going crazy.
I just watched.
I didn't realize he'd kind of been going that way.
He'd been going that way for a little while now. Scott
Adams from Dilbert.
He just said that white people and black people shouldn't be together ever anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of
So
this.
a bunch of people are pulling Dilbert from their paper.
It was a little more than that.
But no, I mean, I've really boiled it down.
Yeah.
I've oversimplified it, but he basically said white and black people shouldn't.
He'd been kind of moved.
What an idiot.
He'd been leaning a little bit on kind of the extremist side for a little while now, but he just kind of had a rant based upon some survey, I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's because it was something like they asked black people if they had heard the phrase "it's okay to be white" or something like that.
Which is already a pointed question in itself.
And it's like 53% of it had heard of it and were okay with that or something like that. So he's going like, what that means, then that means half the people think it's not okay to be white, so white people and black people shouldn't hang out.
Oh, he said black people are a hate group.
Yeah.
So
it's like, if almost half of them hate white people.
I'm trying to imagine, like, we're having a conversation right now. We're having a conversation right now, and we're talking about politics, but we are not really just kind of espousing any viewpoint that is necessarily weird or hateful or kind of aggressive in such a way that I always wonder sometimes why creators feel the need to go to an extreme, right? Sometimes, and to the point that they would alienate an audience, like not something small or subtle, not something that's positive or proactive, but to the point that you're espousing extremist views. Why would you not think that would hurt your income or your I mean,
I'd never understand that.
Why does J.K. Rowling find it necessary to be a TERF? Why does she care about?
It's no different than
rights?
If I go back to my band. I've had a band member get drunk on stage, and that hurt us, so we never played that venue again.
Yeah,
that simple behavior tells me how I act, what I say and behave when I'm within that entity is going to hurt what I can do with that.
Yeah.
How other people can't see that, I don't know. I want to go because we're talking the woke thing. So we ended up yesterday, Shelly and I, going running errands. And we ended up behind a guy, and I'm not going to point a finger. I don't want to be ugly about this, but he has a bevy of very conservative bumper stickers on his car. You know, of course, the National Rifle Association, come and take it, and all those things. But he has an All Lives Matter sticker, which sets me up because what I said to Shell was, okay, look. I want to have this literal discussion with you, and if there's anyone out there, this is my viewpoint on why that's a silly sticker. When someone says Black Lives Matter, they're not saying your life doesn't. Mm-hmm. They're saying mine matters as much as you. That's all that says. It is not saying you don't. So you don't have to come and go, yo, I matter. That, and it's the most simple analogy. If the fire truck is coming down my street and my house is on fire, they don't have to stop and knock at each one first to find out, are you okay?
Matter.
All houses matter. No, there's a place with a problem.
You
go to the problem.
Right.
And then on the way out, if you have a problem, raise your hand too, and got a problem too. There's still 911. But people are trying to draw attention to the unfair treatment of their group of people, not that you are treated or not treated fairly.
They are putting a word in that phrase that is not there. They are putting only in there. They're putting only Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Which is not what they are saying. When they see Black Lives Matter, they put that only in front of it.
And I'm sorry, at that point, when you do that, that's on you.
Yeah.
You're the one creating the division and the problem. You're thinking there's division over here. No. If I have two children and one of them's sick, I don't go to the doctor and go, can you examine that one too? I can see they're not sick. I take care of this one.
Yeah.
There is a sickness that goes into the treatment of a group of people. We must look at that. And it is not saying that, Richard, if you come in and you have a problem, we won't look at your problem too. Fuck. It's like, how stupid a way of thinking is it? I don't even want to call the people stupid.
We've got you there now. Oh. We took you to the Scott Adams place where you're ranting about all this.
Well, it stupid behavior when it becomes, yeah, but me. If were Abby to walk in here and say, yeah, but me, I'd be like, nope, this is not the Abby show. Yeah. This is not always about you. You know, I tell her all the time, one of the ways I raised her was that you have to understand every person on the face of this earth thinks they're the star of a movie.
Right.
And you're a secondary character. Sometimes you're barely even a walk-on. Mm-hmm. But the weird thing is, they're thinking the same thing. They're a walk-on in your life. Just realize you're not always the star of that moment, and it's not about you. And I think that if people would just look at this and say, okay, do I see these videos? Do I see these things? Yeah, fix that. What does it hurt you if we fix that? I'd never understand that. And yes, I'm sorry. You will get me on a tirade because that sticker sets me off more than anything.
There are also people that see others being given the same equal access that they have as them being taken down. Mm-hmm. So instead of seeing other people as being raised up, they see other people having equal opportunity as taking something away from me.
I mean, you're making me think of the whole argument about canceling student debt scenarios and people upset about students having.
I paid off mine. Well, great.
Great. Wouldn't you want better for somebody else?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want that?
Nobody should ever get.
Am I envious that somebody's getting their debt paid off? But wouldn't I want that for somebody?
Yeah.
Wouldn't I want that for my kids?
Wouldn't I want that for? If somebody was sick, if we came up with a cure for cancer today, would somebody who suffered through chemotherapy therapy and everybody go, no, they shouldn't get the cure for it because I had to suffer and everything. No, you go, get fucking rid of cancer. Let's get fucking rid of this debt.
Well, and then my whole thing to it, because we are with a child in school and we have debt that we're going to have to pay off from her going there. That system is fucked. Mm-hmm. There is no other system of let's loan you money for a massive amount of money to do that where it is so disproportionate.
No interest on it.
There's disproportionately against the borrower.
You shouldn't have to pay it off over and over multiple times.
Well, and that's the problem. And that's it. So I realize that with a credit card, I'm buying with money I don't have. Mm-hmm. And I know that technically I'm sending my child to school partially with money I don't have. Mm-hmm. But it is for the betterment of the system, too, that there's an interest rate.
Society as a whole is better if people are educated.
Yes.
So we should not be crippling people to make society better.
And if banks need to make money on it, then make it a very small interest rate. And
1% or something.
Yeah, it is not 1%.
Yeah,
I will tell you that. It is obscene. Okay. Oh, and, there's something I wanted to bring up because we have a listener named Joe. And hey, Joe, how are you? Since we aren't on Twitter anymore, which let's talk about Twitter in just a second when we get done.
Okay.
I don't get to interact with him, but Joe is a much more religious person than I'd ever be. I have spirituality in that I believe, the betterment of mankind if we treat each other with kindness. That's my spirituality. I don't agree with things that he said before from religion, and I've told him that. But I champion him believing what he believes as long as he's not hurting anyone. And I think that if everybody in the world simply, to Sean's point of that, because you're getting something, it's taking away from me. I don't look at Joe and his religious beliefs, the things that go into it, as hurting me. They don't hurt me. And I think that thinking like this compassionately of others does not hurt me nor take anything away from me. And if it does, and it is something you can prove, raise your hand and we'll take a look at you too. If we would all just realize every person has needs and wants, and as long as they're not imposing on someone, be fair.
I found another dive bar boombox in Los Angeles that has a Todd Hartzell as part of it.
Somehow that's got to
Todd Hartzell is a musician, singer, and songwriter based in Los Angeles, California. He leads vocal and guitarist for the band Dive Bar Boombox, which also includes these other members, and then lists their albums, Dive Bar Days,
Send
Midnight
me this
Flower.
link. I got to see this.
I don't have a link. It's just ChatGPT.
Yeah, there's no link.
Came up with it.
That cannot possibly be real. That someone, first off, Hartzell is not a very common last name. Todd with it is not the most common combination. The fact then that he's a lead singer songwriter in a band called Dive Bar Boombox, that somehow has to be amalgamating. Let's talk Twitter while you look that up. So we stepped away from Twitter because Elon Musk can be such an absolute tool. Mm-hmm. How do we? He's kind of quieted down some.
Well, not enough. He is a guy that if he had just shut up and been rich, people would have looked at him like a genius.
Yeah.
And now, unfortunately, he has opened his mouth and people realize what an idiot he is.
Do we want?
He didn't found Tesla. He bought it from somebody else. Mm-hmm. He didn't found SpaceX. He bought it from somebody else. Mm-hmm. He wasn't born. He was born on third base. He grew up picking up little emeralds and from an emerald mine and stuffing his pockets with it. Mm-hmm. He's now the person that's lost the most amount of money ever in history. I mean,
Chris was telling me that they've lost Slack because apparently they didn't pay their Slack bill.
Oh, seriously?
Uh-huh. Something else too. There was what are their software? It's not Slack, not just Slack. The Twitter people were complaining about the fact that they lost Slack last week, and it was because they hadn't paid the bill. But there's another language or Jira. They hadn't paid their Jira bill, and they might lose.
Wow,
Jira as well.
Jesus.
I mean, all because he was butthurt about people tracking him
and saying ugly things
and saying mean things about him. So he wastes $200 billion, destroys a company,
Well, I mean, he's somebody's gonna have to come in and take over Twitter or restore Twitter or something because
he did that whole poll too. Like, should I let somebody else?
Yeah.
And that was basically his foray into I'm not going to do this forever.
But he's in the meantime he's going to drive it into the ground.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I don't know if his original intention was to see. For me, I could see him wanting to buy it and then just shut it down. Right, that happened to that. What was that website? What was that? Political website.
Gizmodo,
but one of that one
that ran the whole thing, and they had that Hulk Hogan stuff, and so Peter Thiel bought
it and just shut it down. Yeah, I mean, at least shut it down if you're going to destroy it.
Yeah.
All right. So my question, the reason I brought that up is, do we want to stay off of Twitter?
I don't.
Do you use
care.
Twitter for?
No.
For
I mean, I have Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for Zeus, but it's just kind of auto posts. I pop on there every so often, but not too terribly much.
I don't ever chat so much with people unless they would reach out to us directly, but not publishing. This is what I feel. The three of us have very similar beliefs within the world and that kind of behavior. Like, we're not going to support you. However, I know there are some of our fans that actually listen to it through Twitter.
Yeah.
And I feel stepping away from them, kind of like, okay, I'm not going to use it as a platform any more than simply to post a link to the episodes.
I mean, that's what I'm largely doing with mine on Twitter. And
Sean, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I don't interact with Twitter as in posting. I will interact with Twitter as in I will see what other people have put up if if they embed a link into a page or something like that. But it's not like I'm actively searching out Twitter.
I'm honestly finding myself moving a little bit further away from social media. I don't know.
Me
if
too.
I don't know
don't
if it's
use
my
it.
age or whatever. I
too much work.
I look at what Abby posts on Instagram, and that's about the extent of it. And I do have to publish. For the band, I have to publish in any number of places where we're playing so people can find it. And that's kind of what led me to, okay, how would the three of us feel if we, beyond private messaging, should someone message us, let's go back to posting just links to the episodes.
That's
I'm
fine.
fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go. So let it be known, starting tomorrow, we'll start putting it back on Twitter, but don't expect us to interact or do things.
Yeah.
I don't think my soul can take that.
I just, I like being able to see what my customers are doing and my friends are doing on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, but I find so much of my ego being wrapped up in what's happening that I'm really struggling with what it means, and I'm trying to break myself away from it on some level. But I also love the fact that it documents periods of my life. I'm happy to see those moments.
Going back to what I was saying about kind of dialing back the clock on the internet, there's talk of going back to group type situations. You used to have, if you're a movie lover, you went to a group on a site.
Yeah.
And with my 3D printing that the guys have seen that I've become interested in, you find a lot of that on social media. I wish they would just go back to that. Just post it and don't go with the rhetoric and the BS and the nastiness. If somebody makes a model for you and you don't like it, say, hey, it didn't work for me. But there are people like, this is sucks shit. Well, it was free, asshole. But that starts that rabbit hole of let's be ugly to each other. I'm like you. I don't want to see that, but I do kind of like the chronology of seeing and I see my kid
over time.
And her
Exactly.
life.
Yeah. I said there was a reminder. Instagram or Facebook sent me a notice that I'd helped somebody get toast bar pull-ups 5 years ago. We'd been working on kipping. I'm like, I'd forgotten about that. That's cool to kind of see that moment. Right. So it makes me want to interact with it for that, but I don't really want to interact with it.
Yeah.
Hey, I just asked ChatGPT to make me a 4-verse song about Babylon 5 and ducks.
Okay, so that will. I was literally about to tell you guys I'm up against an orchestra performance, and I have 55 minutes until that I have to be there for rehearsals. So Sean brings in Babylon 5. The gavel has come down. You may read a little bit of this on the way out. We will be back next week. Enjoy Sean talking. I can't promise how long it'll go, but Sean, the mic is yours.
All right, here's the song about Babylon 5 and ducks. Verse 1, in the heart of space, a station did thrive, where diplomats gathered and stories came alive. Babylon 5 was its name and stood tall and strong, a place where ducks swam where they belong.